But with that, it gives me extraordinary pleasure to introduce our first keynote for today, and that is Hans van Steen, who's a principal advisor to DG ENER. And Hans has actually been an enormous positive support of EEFIG over time and took the keynote in our last physical meeting. So with that, and with a very warm welcome on behalf of all of us, Hans, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Peter, and good morning to all of you. I hope you can hear me and possibly even see me. I had a few connection issues coming in, so I missed a little bit of the introduction, but I hope everything is good now. So I'm also very, very pleased to be here. Indeed, I have been present in previous plenary of EEFIG, and even when we were able to do them physically, which is still not possible, but hopefully soon again. But I think in a way today is a bit of a special meeting, because of course you all know that the energy world has been turned, I wouldn't say upside down, but almost in the last 6 months or so. We've lived through extraordinary events. And what we were doing maybe 7 months ago is still absolutely valid, but we also now know we need to do much, much more, and we need to do much more, much faster. First, of course, we had the price shock, shall we say, the post-COVID mismatch of supply and demand of energy, especially natural gas, that led to unprecedented price increases across the world, and especially hard felt in Europe and in Asia. And as if that was not enough, then we had this crazy invasion by Russia of Ukraine, which of course has only made things worse, and also added, shall we say, a security of supply concern, especially in Europe, but also I think elsewhere, which is really unprecedented. And I think you have to be as old as I am to remember anything like it, maybe in the 70s during the oil crisis. So we're really in a very, very dramatic situation in a way, especially in Europe. And I think what you're doing in EEFIG is as important as ever. And we need to speed up everything we can in order to address this situation. The EU has already responded as quickly as we could on the 8th of March with the so-called Repower EU communication, which was intended to line up, shall we say, action to try and address this situation in the best possible way. And the European leaders, heads of states and governments at the informal European Council in Versailles a few days later actually endorsed a lot of this, and also asked the Commission to do even more. And that has been later on confirmed in European councils. And that is what we are working on right now. We are coming up with a more detailed plan on how actually to do all the things that we have set out in this so-called Repower EU communication, with a Repower EU plan that should come out really in the next couple of weeks or so. So let's maybe have a quick look at what it is that we are trying to do. So first of all, we're trying obviously to reduce our dependence on Russian fossil fuels, especially gas, but also oil and coal we've already included in our list of sanctions. So basically what we need to do, given that gas is the clearly most delicate issue here, is that we need to diversify our gas supplies via LNG imports from, so to say, other sources, also additional pipeline imports of gas from non-Russian suppliers, and a much higher share of other types of gas, the natural gas, especially biomethane, biogas, and eventually hydrogen. But of course, these are not things that you can get tomorrow, even if you wanted to. The second thing that we are saying is really needed now is really to roll out energy efficiency, and to increase rapidly the share of renewables, and to address some of the infrastructure bottlenecks that we still have in Europe. A lot has been done in the last 10 years or so. So in a way, Europe is prepared. But of course, if we are to have a complete phase out of fossil fuels, especially gas, in a very short term, this will inevitably lead to some really difficult situations that need to be solved in applying a range of different measures. And in that context, I think it's very important that we are fully aware, and I'm sure you are in this group, but I'm not sure when I speak to others that it's fully understood everywhere, that energy efficiency is really the cheapest, the most secure, and perhaps most importantly, the fastest way to contribute to energy autonomy, independence, and it can at the same time create a lot of opportunities for industrial growth and the creation of jobs, which is also important in the situation that we find ourselves in post-COVID. So what does this mean in concrete terms? It means energy efficiency measures, especially when addressing the reduction of energy consumption, for example, for heating, where there's, of course, as you know, a lot of gas that goes into that. And these really have a very clear and proportional effect in reducing fossil fuel consumption in practically all member states in the EU, at least those that have a high consumption of gas. And there were various ways that this can be addressed. We can, of course, go to the deployment of heat pumps in buildings and enterprises. We can have decarbonized district heating systems, but we also need to address very short-term energy efficiency measures in terms of changes in behavioral in behavior that can deliver some immediate effects. If we're looking further ahead, and of course we should not forget in all of this, also the slightly longer, the midterm horizon, so we say 2030, the Commission has already put the Fit for 55 proposals on the table, and I think they are probably on the next slide, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I don't know if we can change that. Well, maybe not.
I'm sorry, Hans, I don't think we've received a presentation from you. So we have not integrated it.
So you don't see, I see a presentation here on my screen, but maybe you don't see that. You only see me.
No, we do see a presentation, but the presentation only has the cover. We did not receive a presentation from you.
Okay, very good. Anyway, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with the Fit for 55 proposals. In the area of energy efficiency, it's of course especially, I would say, two, perhaps three proposals that are really, really important. It's the revision of the Energy Efficiency Directive. It is the revision of the Energy Performance of Buildings Directive, and it's the proposal to extend ETS into the areas of buildings and also road transport. Those proposals are making their way through the legislative system with the Council and the European Parliament. And if all of the proposals that the Commission have made here in the Fit for 55 package, not just the ones I mentioned, but also the other parts of that package, we would be able to save something like 100 billion cubic meters of gas by 2030 in our estimations. And a lot of that, I have to say probably around half, would come from the revised Energy Efficiency Directive. So of course, you can say the situation in which we are finding ourselves, the reply is already on the table. The reply is the implementation of the European Green Deal, especially fast progress on the Fit for 55 proposals. But the important thing now is to say that this is not enough. We need to do more, and we need to do something much more fast that can actually phase out fossil fuels. The Commission has suggested by 2027. The European Council, so the member states, have not been fully able to buy into that, but are saying as soon as possible. And I think for now, that's probably also a very clear signal. And I think the events that have happened after the European Council said as soon as possible only show that this is really, really important. And the faster this can be done, really, the better. Energy efficiency is key to achieve the climate target, which is, of course, remains valid. The whole objective of climate neutrality by the middle of the century remains, so we say, the long-term objective. And I think the good thing is that all these things blend together. It's just that in the crisis situation in which we find ourselves with the additional security of supply concerns, we need to act very, very quickly. And I think EFIG has a key role to play here, because you are dealing with energy efficiency. Energy efficiency, as we know, it's very clear that the safest, the most secure type of energy is the energy that we do not use. So that's why energy efficiency, the energy efficiency first principle, are so important in order to address the challenges we're finding ourselves in. We have already, through the recovery and resilience plans, made available a lot of money, and you know, these plans, member states are under an obligation to use more than 1/3 to finance climate-related investments. I'm happy to say that most member states are actually exceeding that, some quite significantly. And we are currently, in the light of the situation that we are finding ourselves in, we are now revisiting all of these plans. We're having bilateral discussions with all the member states to see if the plan that they have submitted, which of course was submitted before the Ukraine invasion, and before, in most cases, also the rapid or unprecedented price increases, whether these plans are still fit for purpose or whether we need to do more. So we're looking at member states with that. Of course, many member states are saying, yeah, that's all very good, we can probably do more, but we need more money. And that's of course something that the Commission is now looking into. But I mean, that is a whole different story, which is perhaps not so easy to solve. But it's important to say that only in the framework of the national recovery and resilience plans, more than 64 billion euros will actually be dedicated to energy efficiency and building renovation investments and reforms. So I think that's already a very good start. But of course, we know that the investment requirements are much, much bigger than that. And that's why it's so important what you're doing, because there's a need to leverage large amounts of private financing on top of the public financing that we can fund out of the EU budget, or that member states can finance out of their national public budgets. And this leverage can, of course, be made through a number of different instruments. And I think most of the people who are in the meeting know much more about this than I do. But of course, we're looking at innovative schemes, very often performance-based loans. And I think many financing institutions who may not have a sufficient risk appetite to invest in this sector are really looking for relevant data and expertise, which is the kind of thing that you can provide within this group with the expertise that you bring with you. We need really to look at all sorts of investment decisions here, helping through technical assistance, creating a network of aggregators, project development assistance that can strengthen reliability and visibility of energy efficiency projects, and so on and so forth. To this end, designing and financing schemes which combine some of these can also have a great potential to bring about energy efficiency quicker than would otherwise be the case, because although very often it's a win-win-win situation, it still requires some upfront investments that is necessary to kick things off. As I said, EFIG has really made a fantastic job so far, and you have really a key place in activating private sector investments. I think you have provided a significant contribution to better understanding the challenges and the opportunities to energy efficiency financing. And in the last couple of years, you really completed an extensive and important body of work. And I've seen a lot of it, and I'm quite impressed. It's a little bit out of the area where I have a particular knowledge, But I think we need really to much better understand the bottlenecks and the barriers for the deployment of energy efficiency financing, especially in buildings, but also in industry sectors. And we need to look at best practices in the EU and mapping financing practices in the EU, assessing their potential for replication and upscaling. Traditionally, these are some of the things that the EU can really be very useful in terms of coming with added value. I think you have extensive knowledge and evidence on technical topics, how we can enhance the deployment of investments and all the things that go with it, monetization of the other benefits of energy efficiency. And I think we all know that there are very many of them, and all of them are really important in the situation that we are currently in. I think the working groups that have been established have done very good work. I understand that you're now finalizing a report on how to support energy efficiency financing within the current multi-annual financial framework, the so-called MFF. And that is, I think, really, really important. We would want you to continue your good work also beyond the present day. And I think the financing challenges for energy efficiency remain, in a way, more important than ever. I've seen a number of around 3,000 billion euros until 2030. Now, this is a number which I think few of us are, or maybe you are better able to sort of fathom that kind of number. But of course, that is a lot of money, and it needs to be invested in lots of projects, large and big, across the EU. The need to consult with financial institutions remains a priority for the Commission. And here, of course, EFIG is providing us with a very, very good tool for that. With that, I think I would sort of close by really thanking EFIG for all the work that you've done, by wishing you a good meeting today. I cannot stay with you because basically we are putting the finishing touches to this so-called Repower EU plan that should come out very shortly. But I think if you can continue being as useful and as relevant as you have been in the past, this is already good. And we are really looking to you for the necessary expertise in order to help us on the energy efficiency part of the solutions to the challenges that we're finding ourselves in for energy right now. So keep up the very good work, and I wish you a very good meeting. Thank you very much for listening to me this morning. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Hans. It's really a pleasure to hear you and to have your reiterated support of EFIG. Again, I couldn't agree with you more. We are all, I think, very conscious of the way in which our work is now sort of coming to fruition. The working groups that you will hear from today have published works which are now available. And part of today's purpose is to make sure that we can spread that knowledge as widely as possible and ensure that the findings can produce the increased levels of energy efficiency investment and finance that, of course, are necessary at this current time.